Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, thanks everyone who's joining us. We are live on Facebook, so anyone who's on Facebook with us right now, you can join us using that registration link tied to this description for this live or for this live stream. Roland, can you confirm that that is?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
We are streaming, and here's the registration link.
Okay. And then I will start my slide share. Okay, now we are. All right, I'll wait a good couple of 30 seconds to get us started. It's only, I think we're just about right on time. Yep, it's 11. Cool. Alrighty, got a few of you in the.
I think, Michael, maybe have you joined us before in the past? Your name looks very familiar. And you guys can all, if you're happy using chat, you can just use chat. Make sure you select everyone to reply, but your name looks familiar to me. Yay, welcome back.
Awesome.
While Emma's getting this all set up, I know at the end of this event, she's going to tell us about our Halloween special. So that's a chance where we'll actually get to see all your faces, even if it's in disguise. We're going to come all dressed up in costumes for our next one. So we'll get to see you. Everybody's camera will be on for a bit, and we'll see how that goes. Should be fun. And I think that roadkill, spotting roadkill in the street to help protect wildlife. For some, it will be a little too late.
Yeah.
It's a gruesome one for Halloween.
Fitting, very fitting. Amazing. All right, well, it is 2:01, so I'm going to go ahead and get us moving. Welcome, everyone. So happy to have you all here. If you're in Zoom, happy to have you. If you're on Facebook, awesome. You're welcome to join us on Zoom. The registration link is available to you. Today, we're going to be talking about how to become a data literate citizen scientist, which we have a training for. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. First of all, if you have been with us before, you know the general team is myself. My name is Emma Giles. I'm a program coordinator for SciStarter, and I'll be leading us through this meeting. And then Roland, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Yeah, as usual, I'll be the IT support for this webinar. In case you need anything, just put it in the chat or the Q&A.
Amazing. All right. And then Darlene, do you want to give a brief introduction?
Oh, sure. I'm Darlene Cavalier. I'm the founder of SciStarter and one of the principal investigators in some of the work that you're going to hear about later on today. It's great to be here again.
All righty. And then just to set some expectations here for the Zoom webinar, since it's a webinar, you have access to a chat and a Q&A. If you have any option or any need to participate or answer questions just live, you are welcome to use the chat function to talk to us as panelists and hosts, as well as to everyone else to share your experiences and to talk to Roland as IT support. If you have a question about the program, specifically the data literacy training, or about citizen science as a whole, or SciStarter, we're happy to answer those in the Q&A. We will have time at the end to talk through the Q&A at the end, but we are happy to answer questions as we keep rolling too. And just to make sure that you all know how to use the chat, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat with your name and general location. For example, hi, I am Emma. I'm sending this to everyone, and I am zooming in from Phoenix, Arizona. I'll give you a second to do that. Awesome. New York, very cool. 2 places. Well, awesome. Like, how can you be at 2 places at once?
It's, you know, there is a place on the Ben Franklin Bridge that is between Philadelphia and New Jersey where I could be in 2 places at once. If I were to step really wide.
Oh, that's like the Four Corners at the, is it?
True.
I don't remember.
That'd be even more fun
Arizona.
to be in the Four Corners. That disease is all cured.
I will zoom in from that exact spot next time. From the Four Corners of Arizona. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Greece, Ohio, This is awesome. Happy to have y'all here. Awesome. Okay. So moving on, let's go ahead and introduce our guest who will be talking to us about the data literacy training. Kirsten, would you like to step in here?
Sure, yeah. Hey there, I'm Kirsten Crowhurst. I am the Program Innovation Strategist with the network of the National Library of Medicine's All of Us Program Center. We're based at the University of Pittsburgh, and we also have a sister program in Iowa City, Iowa. And my favorite citizen science project is Crowd the Tap.
I love that. We should be having everyone introduce their favorite citizen science project. I'm so glad you added that. Amazing. All righty. So before we get started with anything else, as always, we want to know who you all are, aside from where in the world you're signing in from. So Roland's going to open up this poll. Thank you. We want to know, have you ever participated in a citizen science project before? Yes, maybe, or no. Oh, amazing. Okay, we got about 50% of you, 60, 75. Oh, awesome. I love how active you all are. Great. Okay, we're almost to 100%. Okay, sweet. All right, awesome. All of you have. That's amazing. Okay, so some of this I can be very cursory or survey over some of these pieces of information. I love it. All right, for another one, have you been to a SciStarter live event before? Yes, no, maybe. For any of you who maybe were in the live event, our first ever live event, that was also one in which we could share our screens with the audience members for a little bit for the dog focused one. So if you joined in early with us, that was a potential, or that will happen next week as well. Yes, oh, awesome. 86% of you have been to a SciStarter live event. That's so great. I'm so glad you're back. You're used to how this goes then, I love it. And then lastly, I do want to know, what type of person are you? Are you an aspiring citizen scientist? Are you a student? Are you a parent of an aspiring citizen scientist? A teacher, educator, troop leader, a librarian or library staff, researcher, board person on the internet? Any and all of the above? This is a single choice, but I wish we could have multiple. Bet we can fix that in the future. Awesome. Okay, great. Amazing. Oh, 43% of you are students. Welcome. This is super helpful for you, I think. This is awesome. Teacher, educator, troop leader, 14%. Awesome. Okay, this is a good spread. I love this. It's helpful this is going to be a topic that'll be helpful to all of you. Amazing. All right, cool. So since most of you are knowledgeable of citizen science, I'll make this fairly brief. But citizen science is a collaboration between scientists and those who and those of us who are curious, concerned, and motivated to make a difference. And it's how we can make an impact on issues we care about. So it's a big deal. You are likely familiar with the website SciStarter.org, which is where we are coming in from. It is a globally acclaimed online citizen science hub. It's basically a giant database of citizen science projects that you can get involved in. There's something for everyone. And this is a screenshot of our project finder. Alongside our citizen science projects, we also have several trainings that are for boosting your professional ability in citizen science and your technical know-how, especially today's with our data literacy training. And these are the basics. So Foundations of Citizen Science tutorial is the basic training that is also a prerequisite for all the other trainings. For our partnerships that involve SciStarter or citizen science in general, especially ASU actually uses our trainings as a prerequisite for some courses now, which is interesting. And if you want to learn more about that, we're happy to talk about it. And then just a little note for you all, Roland is dropping some links in the chat for you as well to help you make sure you're staying on top of the resources we are sharing. Awesome. Okay, so because we're talking about the trainings, I did want to give some time to talk about what the trainings actually do. So beyond just learning about something in a module, it also is something that is basically proof. So in taking these trainings, it's using an open badge program that is a digital badge that essentially allows you to have very specific information that's specific to you. It's unique to you based on when you take the training. That is proof of your knowledge and skill set that you developed by taking the training. And this is shareable. So I have this shared to several different social media platforms, and I'll show you those here. So it will show up on your SciStarter profile. It will show up in something called Badger, which is where our badges are housed in a backpack. And we have an FAQ page for you as well to review all these things. Yeah, awesome. And Roland just dropped into the chat. Excellent. And then this is actually my LinkedIn. So I have all my badges linked to my LinkedIn that allows anyone who's looking at me from a professional standpoint can see what I'm involved in. And when you hit see credential, you can actually get all the proof of the skills that I have gained from these trainings. So if anyone was wondering why on earth, what happens after you do the training, then this is a way in which you can engage with them beyond that. Alrighty. Ooh. Okay, now we do have 4 trainings available at this point. We have the building data literacy through community science, community and citizen science, which we will talk about shortly. We have a library training specifically for identifying libraries as community hubs for citizen science. We have one for teaching and higher education, and we have the newest one, which is data ethics for practitioners. All right, cool. And today we will talk about building data literacy. So what that involves is a set of objectives. When you take the tutorial, you will be going over all these things. And just to note that last section of it, you will practice or acquire the following skills. These are the skills that are actually baked into your to the badge that you earn that is unique to you. Okay. But as a whole, you'll be able to articulate how citizen science benefits science and society. You'll be able to describe data literacy and how it can help you make better decisions. You will differentiate the types of data collected and used by scientists and citizen science participants. You'll be able to interpret data and charts and graphs, and you'll be able to explain how data quality impacts the credibility of scientific conclusions, which I know was personally a question on my end when I first got started with citizen science. Awesome. All right, I will go ahead and turn it over to Kirsten. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. So I just wanted to go over real quick why we chose the topic of data literacy. What is it and why is it so important? It's really interesting when you Google data literacy, you get a lot of stuff about like metadata and like all these like big ideas around data, but what we're really looking at is actually like how we interact with data on the day-to-day basis. So our smartphones, cars, and TVs collect and gather data from us when we use them, and we collect and gather data every time we make a decision. We base decisions on the data that we can interpret, like choosing schools, voting on a candidate or an issue, and even following recipes, which all come down to how we can gather data. So data is all around us, and it's important for us to be able to make decisions informed by data. Data literacy involves understanding where data comes from, how to draw meaning or conclusions from data, how to read charts appropriately and make inferences from visualizations, and how to recognize when data are being used to mislead people. Data literacy is inclusive of a broad range of data skills, including data management, cleaning, analysis, and visualization. And most importantly, it requires understanding the meaning of data and how it fits into a broader context and what conclusions can and cannot be derived from data. We know that interpreting graphs properly and comparing data can be difficult even for college educated adults. So what we wanted to do here was to kind of dig into what data is and how to interpret it. And that's why we developed this training. So Emma, if you want to move to the next slide. I'm going to give you just an overview of where I sit in relation to the All of Us research program and the network of the National Library of Medicine. The NNLM All of Us national program is the result of a partnership between the National Library of Medicine and the All of Us research program. And the All of Us research program is a research program of the National Institute of Health, and it seeks 1 million or more people from across the United States to help speed up medical research. People who join share their information about their health habits and what it's like where they live. And by looking for patterns, researchers can learn more about what affects people's health. The NNLM All of Us national program is a partnership between the NNLM and All of Us to provide resources for NNLM members to raise awareness about All of Us and to partner with communities who are underrepresented in biomedical research in order to improve health, digital, and related literacy skills. So the All of Us research program thinks that it's really important, and so do I, to diversify research. And that's a really critical piece of the program. The lack of diversity among research participants has serious ethical and research consequences, including hindering our ability to generalize study results, hint, hint, a huge part of data literacy, make medical advancements of effective therapies, and it prevents some populations from experiencing the benefits of research innovations and receiving high quality care. And the NNLM All of Us National Program has partnered with SciStarter and ASU since 2019 to support citizen science activities like Citizen Science Month and some citizen science summer reading programs to introduce citizen science to new audiences, build awareness of citizen science, and support and retain participant engagement in the All of Us research program by offering citizen science events year round. Next slide, please, Emma. Cool. So how does All of Us use your data, and what data does it return? The All of Us research program has a public facing data browser, which is available to everyone, even if you're not a participant. All of Us looks at specific genes and tells you what they see in the genes. Health-related DNA results from All of Us include 2 reports, and one of those reports is a report with information about your risk for certain hereditary health conditions. And the second is a report with information about how certain genes may affect how your body processes certain medications. When we look at the All of Us public data browser, it provides summary statistics from the program's database. It's open to everyone. It allows participants to understand the makeup of the whole cohort of the All of Us research program, and it allows researchers to understand the characteristics of the participant population, explore the data types available, and plan some research questions. I'm good on that slide. Next, please, Emma. Thanks. And so why we developed this data literacy training with SciStarter is to increase citizen scientists' confidence and ability to interpret data and sources in order to build knowledge, ask effective questions, and make more informed decisions. The training includes practicing skills like interpreting graphs and data, and increasing data literacy is important to judging health claims, interpreting the results of a research study, and making informed decisions about your health. That's it from me.
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Awesome. Yeah, that's some excellent information for us. And just a reminder for anyone who is listening in, you will receive a copy of the slides that you can go through if you feel like you have to go back and check any information, because this is a pretty heavy topic full of information here. Awesome. Okay, so the Building Data Literacy Through Community and Citizen Science training, again, is not, is a training after the prerequisite of foundation. So just as a reminder, you have to take foundations first. But I did want to highlight the fact, especially since I saw there was a troop leader or educator in the mix here, there are facilitator PowerPoint slides. And myself so I used to be a 5th grade teacher, and after taking this training, I was thinking to myself, oh man, I wish I had known about this ahead of time, because this is an incredibly powerful tool, and data literacy is so important. It really does help with the credibility of all that information that we want to use in science. And so being able to identify what data literacy is and how we can use data literacy to train the youth and to train ourselves and keep moving in a very well-informed way through being citizen scientists is really important. So having this facilitator training or facilitator PowerPoint allows us to experience the training and then take it somewhere else if you'd like to. So especially any of you who are students, if you have anyone who you think would benefit from this, you can lead them to this training, but also you can use the facilitator slides if you want to engage with your peers in a different way too. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to hit this button. There we go. Okay, so we do have a moment here to talk through Q&As, but I know, gotcha. Okay. Sorry, Darlene, did you want to check in about the NNLM and PIT conversation before I move on to any questions that might come about?
Oh, I think Kirsten did a good job of just describing that it's more than just this training. This is a whole like series of programs that SciStarter and Arizona State University do with the national network, the network of the National Library of Medicine, of which Kirsten is part. And one thing that hinges it all together is that we look for opportunities to just spread the word about citizen science and community science, engage people in activities, especially related to environmental and human health, as kind of onboarding towards that All of Us project and program that Kirsten was talking about. And you probably have also picked up a theme here that we do a lot of support through libraries. Libraries are extremely important partners to us, partly because they are safe meeting spaces for people to come and learn about things. Many libraries circulate citizen science kits that we offer to make sure that everybody has whatever they need to get involved in these projects all around the country. Librarians themselves are very good about helping people navigate to different resources. So you can imagine if you're involved in the All of Us project and you want to learn a little bit more about what the heck the data means, librarians are very, very helpful in terms of helping you map and find additional resources to make informed decisions about your own health. I think at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. I want to ask Emma, if you want to click through the facilitation slides there.
Absolutely, I can do that. Just for a bit of a selfish reason, I just wanted to share with anyone who does take this training, look at the beautiful reaction you get every time you open this page afterwards. Sorry, the confetti makes me very happy when you see that. We do have a Q&A question that I'd like to address before I open these slides that I'm hoping one of you can answer better than I can. Will you share main issues with data literacy when you're handling citizen science projects with library involvement? So where do we see the issues happen?
Emma, can you repeat that?
Sure. Will you share any main issues with data literacy when you are handling citizen science projects with library involvement, or any involvement really? What are the errors that we most see?
Well, maybe Kirsten could talk a little bit about why this data literacy training was important, because it really starts from the beginning. It assumes that people, either hadn't learned or could use a refresher on everything, even from just the X and the Y access to quantitative and qualitative data. But why? That's a good question. Why do you think that NLM thought that was important to support?
Yeah, well, I mean, data literacy is a broader, or is a piece of overall literacy, right? And NLM is focused on supporting literacy and literate populations, particularly health literate populations. And I think some of the problems that I can see with some of the data, not necessarily with libraries, but just in general that comes from citizen science projects, right? Is like, if you don't understand the data that you're putting in, or some of the data that comes in, we talk about dirty data a lot. And so if your data is dirty, how is that helping the citizen science program? And also, how are the participants, or citizen scientists, receiving the results of their efforts? Are they able to understand what those outputs are from these really, really important and critical citizen science programs? Because as we know, they're really important for developing this research and research conclusions. And are people able to understand how their participation is leading to these research results and conclusions?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and share my screen again. So if any of you are interested in the facilitation slides, these are what will appear when you open them. They essentially go through an agenda of what data literacy is.
Emma, are you able to share it so it's the full slide, like a screen
It's
share?
not a. Okay. It is a screen share, so it's a PDF though, not a PowerPoint. There is a PowerPoint option, I believe, but that's not what was downloaded on my computer. But I believe, yeah, there is a PowerPoint version of it that'll make it simpler. You're easier to share when you're actually presenting to someone or facilitating a training of some sort, which, mind you, there is one for the foundations training as well, if you would like to facilitate something like that. So it goes through the basics of citizen science as well, which is helpful. So anyone who may be unfamiliar can get some background on what that means before it goes into what data literacy is. There is a video to become more familiar with it. It might send me to it. Yes. Oh, heck. Oh, it's a. I'm not sure if my audio is shared.
Usually YouTube runs an ad first.
I'm not sure if you can hear it though. Were you able to hear that?
It's okay. Yeah. I mean, we don't have to watch the video.
Okay. But there is a video, so I can get, and it's also included in the training, which, oh gosh. Sorry, friends, I have to stop my share to do that. There we go.
Let me actually, hold on one second, Emma. Roland, do you have access to these as PowerPoint slides or just as the PDF as well?
And everyone's using it. If
You're probably looking at the same video that does the.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put the link in the chat. So yeah, I linked to the video in the chat if anyone wants.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like it downloads as a PDF. Yeah, I'm not seeing the option for the PowerPoint. You can convert them easily to PowerPoint, luckily, but it does change the way. Oh, that's why. Okay. I'll reshare my screen so you can see the PDF again. Okay, so this was so in the slides in the PDF, it'll send you to the video, and then you'll have to return back to the PDF to get there. But you can also download it and it would function just as well. And goes through how citizen science and data literacy are linked, and actually gives you full examples of how you can acknowledge what data literacy looks like in terms of actual projects, specifically giving you the Great Sunflower Projects, eBird, and Globe at Night. Great Sunflower Project.
Go ahead. I'm happy that you're stopping to talk about the projects. Okay, thanks.
Sure. We talk about the pollinators and the health of pollinators in the Great Sunflower Project. So that in terms of data literacy is talking through the number of pollinators matters because that's telling us the health. And so being able to acknowledge the numerical values behind the projects allows us to actually use the data and actually come up with conclusions. With eBird, accounting birds to show where they are and how their populations are doing. Think in terms of migration. If you are witnessing a migration and you see a certain amount of birds one year and then a different amount a different year, that data, that identification of a number and being able to tell the difference, that data allows us to track how migrations are moving and populations of birds, and seeing how that impacts or how other things are impacting that migration. For Globe at Night, that's all about documenting light pollution. And so being able to build a map of that light pollution across the world allows us to identify the hotspots of where we have the most light pollution, which I believe also impacts a lot of migratory movement across the world, which I didn't realize until very kind of recently. So very important.
Also, all three of these projects have something to do with environmental and human health. Even light pollution, it disrupts our sleep, and we all need sleep. So definitely when you go through the data literacy training, you'll learn a lot more about each of these projects. And then as Emma goes through the slides too, you'll see why those projects were chosen too, because they have a lot of data. So it's one thing to have a little piece of data that you're adding to a huge pie. It's another thing to start to understand the context for that. So that's the pie. That's understanding the data, and the data literacy is what this project and this program aims to do. Thanks, Emma.
Absolutely. And then we get into why the data quality is so important. And the more accurate the data, the more credible the results. Sometimes I know I had this worry when I first started getting involved in citizen science, was the idea that I'm not a scientist. And so will my data impact the quality of how we determine results from a project? And while there are a lot of projects that use training modules in order to prepare you for it, sometimes it helps to know that you're also trained in data literacy, because then you can end up feeling a lot more confident in your work. So I know as someone who had that same question, being able to take this training and be certified, so to speak, verified as someone who is informed about data literacy means that I can have more confidence in participating in more challenging projects too. Yes. Okay. And so one of the ways, or the ways in which they do that listed on these slides, is talking about the training that is given to volunteers, the standard protocols for how to participate, which are all given by citizen science projects individually, and having crowdsourced data. So a great example of this is how stall catchers, for example, the citizen science, or sorry, Alzheimer's research group, stall catchers, has thousands of people look at the same video of a mouse brain scan. And by that many people looking at it, we can see the majority of people answering a certain way versus a minority of people answering a different way. And so by looking at the crowdsourcing data that we have, the scientists can have a better idea of what would be accurate, and then they can check for the final check on an actual scan. So and we've actually discovered that because of how many people get involved in the crowdsourced nature of things, we actually can be of higher quality than one lab tech looking at videos constantly. I can assume I would get exhausted from doing that anyway. And so by using the crowd, we can kind of surpass that, which is super helpful. There are lots of kinds of data, which is why this in particular I thought was really great for educational purposes for any teachers or even students who want to teach other students and vice versa. We have different forms of data too. And so being able to see the different quantitative versus qualitative data, which type of projects use these things. The training goes through which projects are more likely to use quantitative and qualitative, where you can truly build that definition in your brain of, okay, if I'm talking about quantitative, I'm talking numbers. I'm talking qualitative, I'm talking smell. For example, like the sourdough experiment, we talked about that one in a live event a month ago or so. We talked through, we have to smell the sourdough starter in order to identify what's going on with that microbiome, right? And so that data is qualitative. It's all about the smell, the taste, the sensations, versus the numbers as in like the birds that you see and count for eBird or the pollinator project. And then we can go through all these examples too, or the facilitation guide goes through all these examples as well. And another one of the qualitative would be NASA Globe Clouds. This one, qualitative data sometimes can be tricky. And so having this as a guide really helped me, especially with cloud, NASA or Globe Cloud, because it helped me identify, okay, wait, how am I? It's hard to sometimes rely on qualitative when you're so used to saying, oh, well, data is numbers. Not necessarily. You can look at gradients of colors, which is what the cloud gaze does as well. Awesome. Okay. So citizen science is a way to give broader access to scientific data and information. The data that citizen scientists collect is important for science. And this doesn't even begin to talk through the idea of citizen science being an important method of learning about data literacy. So, and then we have our last bits of this. The training also goes into how you can get involved with libraries, which we talked briefly about. So if you wanted more information on that, you can always look at SciStarter.org/library as well. And then it tells everyone who's listening to the training, you're ready, and you can go ahead and get started on the training and earn your badge. So this training is really helpful in terms of getting people ready for the training. If you are an educator going through the full training module would also be helpful because you can learn about the different types of data with your group of people, whoever you may be. We do have another Q&A piece. I'm gonna go ahead and stop my share for a moment. What is your opinion about the roles of data steward? I'm so sorry, I'm not sure what you mean by that. The roles of data steward when it comes to data quality in citizen science projects.
And if whoever and Emma, thank you for going through those slides. And if whoever just put that in, anonymous attendee, if you can just elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by steward, is that, is that more of a technical term? Like the data is protected, digitally protected and housed somewhere? Is that a gatekeeper who looks through things before any data is actually added to a formal database? Is that somebody who ensures that it's always open and available to anybody? It would be helpful to have some more context for that. Because sometimes we've heard that projects should always have their data open. And while that sounds like a really good idea, sometimes it's not okay to have the data shared with others because of privacy issues for whoever submitted that data. It used to be that we thought that the scientists were just being greedy, holding on to the data because they wanted to, you know, publish a paper first. And I'm sure sometimes that happens here, even with citizen science. But more and more we are learning that sometimes it's very private data.
Mhm.
It can't be shared, really.
Right, especially depending on the topic, right? I know that there are projects such as iNaturalist as well that are open source. So they're the point of them is to have, excuse me, the point of them, even if it is data that can be sensitive and you can mark as private, but the data is open source in that other scientists can use it. So it's about sharing data beyond just having one set of scientists be able to look at it. So available to the public is great, but then understanding where or in what form that data can take or what kind of privacy concerns there will be, that's important to be able to know. And so looking through, for example, like those terms and conditions or acknowledging where they let you obscure certain data. iNaturalist allows you to obscure your location in order to prevent you from being identified as in a location, which I find incredibly beneficial or helpful. It makes me feel a lot nicer about being able to participate in more projects. We actually had our last week's event was about Neureka, about mental health and degenerative illnesses of the brain. And that is incredibly private information. And so being able to talk through what their terms are and where their data is being used is incredibly helpful. They have a whole section on their privacy concerns and how well they obscure information. And it really does impact your confidence in participating and your understanding of data as a whole. And my friend,
I'm going to interrupt just one thing. First of all, Emma is new to citizen science, relatively new to citizen science. And it's amazing, right? I mean, she's involved in the project. She can talk about data quality, data literacy, so many projects you just heard her talk about too. That's from somebody, there was no degree in citizen science. She didn't go to school to become a citizen scientist. I would say the same about Roland there too. So know that it doesn't actually, now she's embedded in it all the time. And Emma, you've just done such an amazing job, Roland too, of just like becoming citizen science experts in so many different kind of facets, I guess. But it really doesn't take much to become comfortable and confident. The biggest thing is to do a project. So, you know, there's hundreds of thousands, millions of people who come to SciStarter, close to 150,000 or so. I'm not sure what the number is of registered users. Many of them do projects, but it's amazing how many don't. And I think a lot of it is one, we don't have a lot of time. And I think we all understand that. And two, I think people lose a little confidence, like, oh, maybe my data might not be good enough. It might not be needed for that research project. How can just uploading a picture of something or for all of us, you know, sharing other information, how could that actually go towards advancing important areas of research? It really does. So the most important thing is to get involved and do a project. And then I bet you end up doing 3 to 5 projects, because that's what our research shows. Once somebody does a project, they're far more likely to get involved in a lot of different projects. I want to also ask Kirsten the question about data and data privacy, because we know this comes up a lot with all of us. We also know that the organizers of all of us take this issue extremely seriously. Is there anything you can speak to about just the privacy concerns that people might have and why they should feel okay about engagement?
Yeah, specifically for all of us, I can talk about that. All of us de-identify as their data. So when you sign up for the program, they remove any identifying information about the data before any researchers can see it. And the public facing data browser is all aggregated data. So you're not going to see like, oh, Kirsten from Pittsburgh submitted this biographical information about herself and she submitted this type of sample. You're not going to see that. It's all de-identified. They have different tiers of how you can research or how you can access that data. So we have that public facing tier, and then there's a register 1 tier and a register 2 tier. And there's different different things that you need to do to be able to access that data on each of those tiers. And they give out, they have certificates of confidentiality that will help, for example, I don't know if anybody has heard of these cases, but there are some cases in which law enforcement has compelled, say, Ancestry or 23andMe to give up some data to identify someone in their database. And All of Us does not do that based on their certificates of confidentiality. So that's also another important aspect of how All of Us is important. We do have a training actually on how All of Us keeps our information safe, and I will pop that into the chat just in a few moments here. But thanks for the question, Darlene.
De-identified, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. That's important too. Any other questions from the folks who are still with us here? I think too that Emma did a good job of explaining that some of these trainings have those facilitator materials, great for educators, great for librarians, great for you as a volunteer. I will say libraries could use your help. So if and when you develop more experience and confidence, and because I recognize some names that are here, which means you've been here a couple of times, Michael in particular, it's not a bad idea to think about approaching your library and asking if you can help introduce others to citizen science. We'll give you all these slides. You're probably familiar with some of the projects that are there too, but even that Foundations of Citizen Science is a great way to let community members know about citizen science and all the ways they can get involved. And I see Kirsten just posted the links. Thank you. All right, Emma.
Okay, great. Well then, if it's all right with all of you, and if there are no more questions, again, you are more than welcome to contact us. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, just so I can send or show those resources to you one more time. So, so if there are any questions, feel free to write them in the chat or the Q&A. I'll keep an eye on that. But well, hopefully not seeing random things. Okay, so as far as resources, as always, you can contact us at info@SciStarter.org. You can ask the community at the bottom of every SciStarter project page. You can leave a review or question. We talked about confidence, and this is a way in which you can start to build confidence too. So if there are questions, if you've thought of it, someone else has probably already thought of it too. And so just starting the conversation will help so many more people than just yourself. So especially as it comes to data, that is often a question that I have of like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to send in the right stuff. So asking the question, half the battle. There is the ability to ask the project leaders as well. You can always send a message to the project leaders on each SciStarter project page. And then, as we told you before, there are 4 trainings accessible to you, and they're all different, all very useful. In terms of the foundation training, that is the prerequisite for all of them. And it also forces you to go through 2 different projects. So if the issue is just getting started, that's already your method in, which is in a controlled-ish type environment. So you can get through 2 projects with being having your hand held, so to speak. And then we, of course, have our project finder that we showed you on the first couple of screens, where you can just add in any topic you'd like and find a different project. I was at an event in Wisconsin to show off citizen science, and one of the students who was walking by asked about projects about penguins, and I had no idea if we had any. I write in penguins, and 15 projects came up. So I'm telling you now, there's definitely a project for you. Okay, awesome. Okay, and then a reminder for next week. We will have a Halloween special because we're getting close to the 31st. And so we're going to talk about Roadkill Reports, a pretty gruesome project, but very, very important for the health of wildlife and keeping our drivers aware of what's going on in the world and how to protect your environments. And so we want to have it be a special event. And so if you would like to join us with a costume, we will have an opportunity to show off your costumes, and I'll allow attendees to be able to be visible in the video. So we would love to have you join us. I'll be wearing something ridiculous on my head somewhere. So please join me so I'm not the weirdo. not really. I'm okay with being the weirdo too. It's fine. But anyhow, we will be having that special event next week. We always have a post-event survey that we would love to hear your thoughts. If you have any ideas for future projects, we would love to hear them, especially as we get closer to time in which you have to be indoors if you live in a place that snows and all that. If there's anything that you want featured, we would love to hear about it, and we will do our best to make a point to include that in our web series here. Awesome. All right. Well, then in that case, any last words from Kirsten or any of our SciStarter live team? Feeling pretty good.
Thank you to Kirsten for joining us and for all the support that you give to SciStarter and Arizona State University.
Yes, we're so happy to be a partner in this, and thank you so much for letting me come on to this panel and chat about data literacy. I'm just going to pop in the chat if anyone wants more information about the All of Us research program. I'm going to pop in the link here. But thanks again for allowing me to do this, and thanks for everybody for participating today.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
In a Halloween costume.
Yes, please do. I'm excited. All right. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thanks.
See you next time.
Thanks, Robin.